we've counted down 32 teams that qualified as the biggest disappointments of the Super Bowl era. We started with the 2000 Buffalo Bills. We last left off at the 2002 St. Louis Rams. And now, with the dust all settled and the smoke all cleared, we have but one team remaining, the single most disappointing team of the entire Super Bowl era. Before we talk about them, let's talk about C-Score. C-Score is a metric developed by this channel and is what makes all of this work. It takes the total performance of every team from the Super Bowl era and assigns it a proper value rather than just looking at its record. For a deeper explanation about how C-Score works, be sure to check out the description of this video. Let us, for one last time, divulge how a team makes it onto this list. They will first complete a season with a positive C-score. They will, the very next season, improve upon that C-score, taking it to beyond 15. Then, in Season 3, their C-score drops into the negatives, with this one serving as the disappointment. The larger the drop from Season 2 to Season 3, the higher that disappointment will rank. So many great seasons, so many legendary moments, so many luminaries of the game whose names are whispered with awe and reverence throughout great halls. An edifice of greatness whose foundation collapsed under the weight of lost hope. The 1999 San Francisco 49ers are the single most disappointing team of the Super Bowl era. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've stuck with us for this entire series, I cannot express to you my gratitude. If this is your first stop with us, I invite you to click on the playlist as provided in the description of this video. It's been a labor of love, and you can show the love back simply by liking this video. If you're so moved, take some time to share it along with the playlist, and if you've yet to do so, consider subscribing to the channel and dinging the notification bell. I always want you to stick around to the end of the video, of course, but do make sure of it for this one, because we're going to have a lot of tidbits for you as we close this series. Until then, let's get this thing started. The 49ers were simply the 49ers in 1997, doing what they had done in just about every season since 1981. They were 13-3, put up a triple-digit point differential, landed top 10 finishes in both points scored and points allowed, and finished with a C-score of 15.192. The Niners faced one particularly unique challenge this season, when in its very first game, Warren Sapp's dirty play tore Jerry Rice's ACL and MCL. Whereas Brandon Ayuk has missed more than 15 months of action with a similar injury during a time of infinitely advanced medical technology, Rice was back in 15 weeks. He didn't just suit up for the cameras though, he scored a touchdown against the eventual Super Bowl champions. All of this did need to be said because there is now and there will forever be only one Jerry Rice. Under new head coach Steve Mariucci, and due to Rice's injury and Steve Young's concussion concerns, this 49ers team was defined more by its defense, sending 5 of its members to the Pro Bowl, a tally that did not include Bryant Young and Tim McDonald. The 49ers have always had the defense to match its offense, even if newspaper headlines never said so. We mentioned that this team finished in the top 5 in both scoring and points allowed. This is nothing new. Outside of the shortened 1982 season, the Niners finished in the top 10 in both categories every single season since 1981 except for one. Out of those 15 seasons, 10, including this one, comprised of top 5 finishes in both categories. Oh, and they won 5 Super Bowls during a time of serious competition in the NFC. After finally overcoming the Dallas Cowboys in 1994, the Niners came across a new enemy the following season in the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay eliminated them from the playoffs that season, again in 1996, and once again here in 1997, this time in the NFC Championship game. the Niners would undoubtedly be a contender once again in 1998. And if they could just find a way to beat Green Bay, perhaps they could ascend to the mountaintop one last time. Big surprise, the Niners went 12-4 while outscoring their opponents by 151 points. The offense was on point with the return of Jerry Rice and the true emergence of Terrell Owens, but the defense fell off some, dropping out of the top 10 in points allowed. They put up a top-notch C-score of 25.195. It's also worth mentioning that Garrison Hurst had himself a career season while the offensive line was as sturdy as ever. In any other season, the 49ers would have easily had the NFL's most feared offense. But this was 1998. We had the record-breaking Minnesota Vikings who could roll out of bed and put up 30 points. We had the reigning Super Bowl champion Denver Broncos with the league's MVP Terrell Davis becoming just the fourth player in league history to run for over 2,000 yards. And there was the Atlanta Falcons, members of the hilariously named NFC West. The NFL considers all this business the West, with their weakness-free offense that could hurt you in every way imaginable. And it was Atlanta, a more balanced team on the whole than the Niners, who won the division, relegating San Fran to just its third wildcard berth in franchise history, even though they were 12-4. The NFL's only other team with at least 11 wins that didn't win its division, the Green Bay Packers. So for the fourth season, and for the third time in San Francisco, it was gonna be 49ers Packers in the playoffs. It took a mighty heap of controversy. Yes, Jerry Rice 100% fumbled on this play, which should have ended things in a Packers victory. But in the end, Terrell Owens finally hung on to a pass, and the 49ers had finally gotten past the Packers in a playoff game. All of this just to make it to the division round where the Falcons awaited. The Niners lost this game 20-18, but it never felt that close. And the 49ers were once again beneficiaries of a bad call on a potential turnover when trailing by 14 in the first half. Not so coincidentally, instant replay returned to the NFL in 1999 after a 7-year hiatus. Oh, and on the very first play of the game, Garrison Hurst suffered an injury that didn't quite end his career, but it kept him out for 2 seasons and left him a shell of his former self. Another great season by normal standards, but another one left unfulfilled as San Francisco failed to make it to the Super Bowl. This would now be the longest gap between championships for the 49ers during their dynasty. It was for that reason, and a few more, that 1999 felt like a make-or-break kind of year that would define the early part of the 21st century for the franchise. There's a fairly well-known scene from The Office where Kevin drops a giant pot of chili. Here, I'll show it to you. Now imagine 100 Kevins and 100 bowls of chili. Throw in 100 broken eggs and 100 cartons of spilled milk. This is the 1999 San Francisco 49ers. Edward Murphy didn't know of these 49ers when he created his law 50 years earlier, but he was absolutely talking about them because what could go wrong did go wrong. They were bad at everything. You can see the numbers here. They landed a C-score of negative 27.795. It's almost impossible for an NFL quarterback to be underrated, but if I could name 2, it would be Dave Craig and Steve Young. This is the final play of Steve Young's Hall of Fame career, and this play became the avatar for the 49ers this season. We're going to come back to this play in due time. The Niners may have finished 4-12 this season, but that record is deceptive. They started the season 3-1. 2 of their 3 wins were by a single possession, all 3 coming by a total of 23 points. Their loss was a 38-point annihilation by the Jaguars, who, in fairness, turned out to be one of the best teams in the league this season. At 3-1, they went to St. Louis. The Rams, terrible for 9 straight seasons, were off to a hot start. The Niners had beaten the Rams in 17 consecutive games going back to the 1990 season. If the Rams were for real, they had to win this game. If they were for real, they would win it handily. I'd say a 42-20 victory that was never in doubt qualifies as handily, and then some. The Niners then lost a close game to the Panthers before getting clobbered again, this time by the Vikings. What was the significance of this? It was their 3rd consecutive loss. The San Francisco 49ers had not lost 3 consecutive games since opening day of the 1981 season. The last time they lost 3 in a row within a season was nearly 19 years earlier. This longevity is unmatched and will never be matched again. But it didn't end there. The losing streak hit 8 games by the time it finally ended. But after they won that game, they ended the season with another losing streak of exactly 3 games. There was nothing positive about this team. They were showing their age. They had maintained roster excellence over the years, but the salary cap implications were coming home to roost. There was some good drafting in there, think Terrell Owens, but it was far outweighed by some Freddy Krueger-inspired level of horror, as in horribly terrible drafting. The roster was quickly becoming a piece of Swiss cheese that was no longer cheese, only holes. No area was hit harder than the secondary. Football Outsiders declared the 49ers pass defense as the 2nd worst they had ever tracked. The 49ers' shattered visage lies. No thing beside remains. Ground and decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Back to this play. In the backfield, ostensibly in pass protection, is Lawrence Phillips. Phillips was selected by the St. Louis Rams with the 6th overall pick in 1996 with the explicit intent to replace Jerome Bettis. Phillips's football talent was undeniable, but he had what we could gracefully call a troubled personal history. Dick Vermeil took over the Rams head coaching job in 1997 and did everything he could to help the troubled Phillips before finally giving up. The 49ers eventually took a chance on him, and he let Aeneas Williams go right by him, delivering the final concussion that ended Steve Young's career. This is a man that Dick Vermeil gave up on. Do you know what it takes, what you have to do, what you have to be to get Dick freaking Vermeil to give up on you? But the Niners brought him in. Why? Because they had an opening in their backfield, an opening created by Garrison Hurst's injury from the season before. Why did Hurst get injured? Because the 49ers were playing the Falcons in Atlanta in the divisional round of the playoffs. And why were they even in that game? Because the 49ers erroneously defeated the Packers the week before when the referees missed Jerry Rice's fumble, giving the 49ers another chance. This series of events does not single-handedly bring the 1999 49ers to their station as the most disappointing team of the Super Bowl era, but it sure does make for an appropriate book cover. Cosmic retribution is a thing. I've lived long enough and seen plenty enough to know that. Sometimes the punishment fits the crime and sometimes it feels lacking. But then there are times that it hits like a giant meteor, hurtling its way through space onto an unsuspecting surface of sadness. Life has larger meaning than this, but in the sports arena, a sacred realm unto itself, such are the 1999 San Francisco 49ers. Let's go ahead and fill out this list before closing this bad boy out. The 2002 Rams set the record for largest gap between entries at number 2. That record is now in the dust. Here come the 1999 San Francisco 49ers, surpassing them by more than 6 points, with their disappointment score of negative 52.99. If this number was a C-score achieved by an NFL team, it would have surpassed the 1976 Tampa Bay Buccaneers as the single worst C-score of the entire Super Bowl era. If you didn't already know, maybe you figured out during the video that, yes, I am a San Francisco 49ers fan. This was over 6 months worth of making these videos and posting these videos, totaling over 6 hours of footage just to reveal my favorite team in the number 1 spot. That does take a special kind of masochism. The Niners did show some life in 2001 and 2002. But it was right back into the dumpster for about the next decade. Now they've been to 3 more Super Bowls, but after never losing one before, they took the L in all 3. 31 years have passed since they won it all, and while I know a lot of franchises would kill for that overall success, it still kinda sucks, you know? But we gotta stay true. Go Niners. To make this list work, I had to put a hard definition on the word disappointment, which is why I came up with the parameters that I went over at the beginning of the video. Otherwise, it becomes a subjective exercise, and tons of teams would have qualified. As these videos were being released, many people came up with predictions about who would make an appearance on the countdown and suggestions about who should appear on the countdown. I appreciated all of those, and I have compiled all of them to the best of my ability. And in a couple of weeks from the release of this video, I will release an epilogue video explaining why each of these teams didn't make it on. That's not to say they're not disappointments in their own right, especially from an emotional standpoint, but something or other caused them to miss out on these specific parameters. Let me know what you think about all of this, and by all of this, I do mean all of this. Whether it's this Niners team, any Niners team, any team we have discussed on this countdown, or anything else you may have on your mind. The comment section is your playground. Thank you for sticking through this video, and thank you for watching this series, and thank you for being a fan of the channel. If you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it, then you had one hell of a time. One more thank you here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And until next time, I hope you have an awesome day.